Director of Monetary Policy, Reserve Bank of India for Technical Session in Finance. He has an experience of over 25 years in central banking. His story serves as an inspiration for aspiring banking professionals looking to thrive in an ever-evolving financial landscape. Sir, I would like to play a small video clip of the milestone you have achieved. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause for Sir.
Mr. Sunil Kumar has over 25 years of experience in central banking. He worked on issues related to microeconomics, international finance, monetary policy, debt management, and financial markets. Mr. Sunil Kumar has worked as research officer at RBI from June 1997 to 2007. He became an assistant advisor at RBI from August 2007 to June 2015. Then he became director at Department of Economic and Policy Research from July 2015 to April 2017. After that, he joined Central Bank of Oman as economic policy expert from April 2017 to June 2020. After that, he again joined RBI as director. Sir, MIT Patna, welcome.
On behalf of MIT Patna, I would request Chedna ma'am, Kamini ma'am, Rohit sir, Kishore sir, and all the other faculty members to please come on stage to present sir with the memorandum.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor for me to welcome Dr. Richa Chaudhary, Associate Professor and Head of Department in Humanities and Social Science, IIT Patna. Okay. For technical session in HR, she has published several research papers in international journals and has been ranked amongst 2% of scientists in the world by Stanford University consistently for the year 2020, 2021, and 2022. She'll be joining online for the HR session. I would like to play a small video clip to welcome her.
Dr. Richa Chaudhary is an associate professor and head of Department of Humanities and Social Science at IIT Patna. She obtained her PhD from Department of Management Studies, IIT Delhi, and holds an MBA with specialization in human resource management. She has done her bachelor's in science and education from Regional Institute of Education, Ajmer, and was awarded with the Best Outstanding Student Award for all her 4 years. She teaches courses on research methodology, human resource management, organizational behavior, entrepreneurship, business ethics, and industrial and organization psychology. She is a prolific researcher and has published a number of research papers in international journals of repute like Journal of Business Ethics, International Journal of Hospitality Management, Personality and Individual Differences, International Journal of Human Resource Management, International Journal of Conflict Management, Personal Review, Journal of Cleaner, Journal of Cleaner Production, etc. She has presented her work in national and international conferences of repute such as Academy of Management, Annual Meeting European Group of Organizational Studies, PNII, dual gift and has a number of best research papers in book on credit. She has been ranked amongst top 2% scientists in the world by Stanford University consistently for year 2020, 2021, and 2022. She has worked as principal director of a number of government projects sponsored by ICSSR and MHRD. She is a regular member of many international journals of different. She has conducted a number of workshops and short-term courses on research methodology, data analysis. Her current research interviews includes data research management, corporate social responsibility, sustainability, workplace visibility, and workplace issues. Ma'am, and welcome.
Now I invite Rohit sir to kindly moderate the session.
Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting the finance session in the seminar hall. And without wasting much of time, I would be calling the first paper. The authors are Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Javed and Muhammad Akil. Title of the paper is Do Sustainable Investment Propel Financial Growth, Empirical Evidence from the Indian listed banks. So, authors, please.
Good morning, everyone.
You're audible.
Okay. Is our slide visible?
Yes, it's visible. Please start your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Muhammad Akil. I am an MBA student at Department of Business Administration, Aligarh Muslim University, Kashmir Center, Bihar. Alongside with me, I have my co-authors, Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Khan, who is also an MBA student, and our faculty advisor, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Javed. We are going to present our research on the topic, Do Sustainable Investments Propel Financial Growth, Empirical Evidence from the Indian Listed Banks. Now, before we start, I should clarify certain keywords that we have used. Now, sustainable investment is nothing but the amount of invested by the corporates in sustainable practices. Here, financial growth means financial performance of banks. And we have done this research to identify whether the sustainable investment could increase financial performance in Indian banks. Now, the sustainability is the hot topic. It comprises of environmental, social, economic dimensions. Now, you want to learn about sustainability, but first of all, we need to understand how it was started. So it was started in 1994 when John Ellington proposed a model of 3 Ps, that is people, planet, profit. Afterward, he specified that these 3 components of sustainability can be identified as environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability. Don't get confused by CSR. CSR has a broader concept. Now we have done a comprehensive review in order to identify what are the different dimensions which are used in Indian banks, especially in the context of sustainable development goals or sustainability. Now, Stropolo in 2023 investigated the SDGs in banking sector, and he found out that sustainability is a very important topic which creates a positive image in the mind of customers, and hence it improved the financial performance. Magotra in 2018 explored the dimension of customer value perception and the behavior of technology adoption in Indian banks. He also found out that in long term, the sustainability could improve the profitability in Indian banks as well. Now, Jain and Al-Hakimi did also the same research in different contexts by using different techniques in different parameters. Now, this is our proposed research model. As I have told you earlier that sustainability can easily be categorized in three broader categories. That is environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability. After going through literature review, we have identified some subcategories of these three dimensions. As you see in the model, we have used environment and pollution control expenses to define environmental sustainability. When we have defined social sustainability by using staff welfare and training expenses, donations, and social and community expenses. When we talk about economic sustainability, we have used employee utilization ratio and research and development expenses. If we talk about firm performance, we have defined it with three parameters, that is return on asset, return on equity, which are our accounting based parameters, and EPS, which is our market based parameters. Now the objective of our study is very simple. The first one is to identify different sustainable practices and initiatives in the banking sector. The second one is to identify the parameters of financial performance in the Indian banking sector, which we have done by going through the extensive literature review. And the last objective, which is one of the most important objective of the study, is to identify the relationship between sustainable practices and financial performance with reference to Indian banking sector and financial institutions. And for this, we have used panel data regression. Now, when we talk about research methodology, we have extracted data from Probus IQ of BSE 100 listed companies over 11 years from the period of 2011 to 2022. After cleaning and scrubbing the data, we have identified 18 banks on financial institutions which are listed in BSE. Apart from this, we have used random effect model of panel data regression to analyze the data set. Now, if we look at the analysis, we can observe the impact of sustainable practices on different variables of financial performance. If we observe closely, employee utilization ratio has a significant and positive impact on all the three financial parameters, which means it is improving accounting based parameters and market based parameters. When we talk about the donation, which is a social sustainable variable, it only affects positively on return on equity and earning per share, which means it is advisable to invest in these two if you want to improve your firm performance. Now, if we talk about research and development expenses, it only affects significantly to return on asset and return on equity, which means if you want to improve your balance sheet and the core areas of your accounting based parameter, you should invest in research and development expenses. However, you can easily identify that environmental and pollution expenses has no significant relationship between these three financial parameters, which is a similarity usually found in service sector organization. So the implication of the study are very simple and useful. Now, the research emphasizes the significance of sustainable practices for banks, regulators, and stakeholders. Second one is, it suggests that integrating sustainability practices can lead to better financial performance for better in the Indian banking sector. Indian banks can use the research findings to develop and implement sustainability practices to gain a competitive advantage over their peers. Sustainability practices can enhance the reputation of Indian banks, attracting customers, investors, stakeholders, and providing business opportunities. Now there are certain limitations and few directions that I want to explain it to you. The first one is that we have only used the data from BSE 100 listed companies. Now, if we want to robustness, we could use, or the future researcher can use data from NSE 500. And this research contributes to understanding the relationship between sustainability and financial performance, enabling the identification of best practices across industries. That's all from my side. If you have any question, you may ask. Thank you.
Sir, comments from your side.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Yusuf, for a very interesting presentation. This is a very novel idea which you have tried to examine. I have few comments to offer on this. First is maybe the title is very little misleading. You are looking basically the impact of ESG in the banking sector on the performance of the banking sector. So sustainable investment probably, I mean, you may modify it suitably because title doesn't really
Sure.
communicate. Going into the technical piece, you have not really specified which model they use while estimating the results. And
Actually, sir, we have used random model of quantity regression.
yeah, I mean, let me just give my comment, then you can respond. Isn't it? So, you said that you have selected 100 BSE companies, and then finally, out of 100, based on your selection criteria, you have zeroed down to 18 or so in the banking sector.
Yes, sir.
Study pertains to only banking sector. Why you selected 100 companies? Yes, you should have straight away gone to the. I mean, there's no need to go for other companies since you are trying to examine the impact of ESG on the performance of the financial performance of the banking sector. The title also mentions very clearly. I don't know why you started with 100 BSE companies. Secondly, coming to model, you mentioned that you have used random effect model, panel model, but you did not really elaborate on that. Why which model you have selected? You just presented the results. You must basically explain why not fixed effect, why you want for the random effect. And diagnostics are not really mentioned. Whether your results are robust, J statistics you are not given, which basically is very important for the panel model. So, if you really explain all these things, I think it will improve your paper going forward.
Thank you, sir, for your insights. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, may I clarify some doubts of yours, please, if you may allow me? Okay. Sir, actually, what we did was we extracted data of BSE 100 listed companies. And then we tried to segregate some Indian banks and financial institutions which were mentioned over there. And then we have used panel data regression because it gives some kind of robust and rigorous, analysis and results. We could have used time series analysis as well, but I think panel data has a more robust analysis. All the assumptions were met, which includes heteroscedasticity, autocorrelations, stationality, and normality were met. But there are certain, lagging behind it because as you can see that there are only 18 banks or 18 responses, or basically 18 the sample size very less. If you could have used 100 or if you could have selected 100 companies of BSE, then the result could be more modified and robust. The assumptions and the parameters could have more be defined. refined, or I may say refined. But thank you for your comments, sir. Thank you. We will try to improvise or incorporate all the comments that you've mentioned. Thank you.
Hello.
Yep. Is there any other question?
There are questions from the audience? You can
Yes, questions from audience? Anyone? Okay, uh, you can, you can disconnect from your side.
Stay connected. You'll continue to be
We'll try to observe all the
Okay,
other
so,
people.
let's go for the next paper. Title of the paper is Aspect of Technology in Finance and Economics by Dheeraj Kumar, author. Dheeraj, are you present? Okay, fine. Next author, Dr. Ripu. Please let me know if you are present. Fine, let's go to the next one. Mr. Abhishek Pandey.
Yes, sir, I'm present, sir. I'm ready for the presentation.
Okay, the paper titled as Performance Analysis of AI Powered Mutual Funds in India. Yes, please start.
So
with
just
it.
for the confirmation whether my screen is visible or not, sir, I'm sharing my PPT. Can you please confirm?
Sure, sure. Go for full screen. Yes, it's
Is my screen visible, sir? Full
please
screen?
carry on.
Thank you, sir. So before I start, I would like to express my greetings to the Amity Business School for providing me opportunity to present my paper at the 4th International Conference on CIBMIT 2024. The title of my paper is Performance Analysis of AI-Powered Mutual Funds in India. I am Abhishek Pandey, Assistant Professor, Amity College of Commerce and Finance, Amity University, Patna. So before I start, I'd like to talk about that how AI-powered mutual funds are different from the ordinary mutual funds in India. As we know that mutual funds are basically, they operate on the philosophy of collecting the funds from the investors. And with the expertise of the investment managers, portfolio managers, they invest the money into the market. But nowadays, on the onset, this AI-powered mutual funds are in the trends. As of now, only 7 mutual fund houses in India are offering this AI-powered mutual funds. The philosophy behind this AI-powered mutual funds is basically these are the foundation is based on quantitative models. So I'll be talking about one by one that what are the techniques they use and how they are different from the ordinary mutual funds. So basically in India, this is known as popularly as quant mutual funds, and nowadays the name has been modified to quantum mutual funds. Now, these AI-powered mutual funds take the help of AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to select and to pick up this stock based on different models. Popularly, the models which are famous in India is a single factor model and multi-factor models. In single factor models, they use one of the factors that could be PB ratio, P ratio, that may be return on equity, return on asset, based on different tools we have through which we analyze the stocks in India. In multi-factor models, that is more refined version of these picking these stocks. In that, they take the help of 10 to 12 variables, and it can be more than that also. So based on that, they use the technique to pick up these stocks that could have potential to generate more and more returns going forward for the investors. So this is what about AI-powered mutual funds. Now, these AI-powered mutual funds are being seen as that they could minimize the risk which a human can cause, and it can also reduce the expenses associated with the human, like operating expenses and all. So this is in a practice phase right now in India, because only 7 mutual funds are operating as of now in this. Although this was introduced in India in 2008, initially it was launched by Reliance Mutual Fund, that is now known as Nippon India Mutual Fund. Now, I have taken the data of all these 7 mutual funds, right? But before that, I'd like to talk about the literature review. So, in context of India, that we have lot of literature that is available for normal mutual fund about their performance in India. But talking about this AI mutual funds, we are still lacking that we have very less literature. But talking about the normal mutual funds that is in India, so the performance can be analyzed through different models. Like we have sharp model, trainer models. We have Jensen Alpha. We also have one of the models that is pharma decomposition model. So in my paper, I have used pharma decomposition model in order to check whether these AI powered mutual funds have been successful in picking the right stock compared to the mutual funds that is managed by the humans, that is the portfolio managers. So I have taken help of certain literature that has been given me help, like Chen and Huang, Niche and O'Sullivan's papers. That has helped me in analyzing the performance of AI-powered mutual funds through pharma decomposition model. Now, data collection and analysis. I have collected data from the AMFI website, Association of Mutual Funds of India. That is the credible website through which we can get the data, and RBI database also for risk-free rates and all. It is the reliable source. I have taken the data from March 2019 to March 2024, spanning 5 years, because I already informed that we have very less mutual fund houses in India that is providing this facility. The maximum observation is 60. I have taken monthly return of these funds, AI-powered mutual funds, quant funds. And based on that, I have done a pharma decomposition model analysis. Now I will talk something about pharma decomposition model. The model basically help us to see the performance of the fund manager based on the net selectivity of the stock, whether a certain fund has been successful in generating the right stock for certain period of time. So basically, through this model, we try to calculate reward for net selectivity of stock through this model. The reward means that whatever risk that is involved in the market that we are exposed to, the normal investor is exposed to systematic risk also, unsystematic risk also. So keeping all those factors, so what should be the reward for net selectivity of this stock? For taking certain risk, an investor should be rewarded for taking that risk. So if we see that the reward for net selectivity of the stock formula, it is the reward from the portfolio, then we will be one by one deducting all the premiums that has been given to the investor for taking the risk. So I have taken risk-free rate that is already available to all the investors. So anyhow, on any given day, a certain portfolio manager has to beat this risk-free rate. Then beta is the systematic risk that we already know, that is the portfolio. This is the market premium that certain fund manager generates for taking the systematic risk. So this component altogether becomes the premium for taking systematic risk. This complete formula becomes the premium for taking unsystematic risk. So I have used this formula to see the performance of the stock and performance of the funds. And this is my descriptive statistics. These are my observation. I have taken these funds, 6 mutual funds that are offering the AI powered mutual funds. I have taken the index in order to see the performance, in order to compare the performance. And I have also taken S&P BSE large cap index. Basically, this AI powered mutual funds, their philosophy is based on picking the stocks based on certain parameters like multi-factor models. So multi-factor models pick up the stocks which are comparatively less risky. So large cap stocks, we see less volatility in that. So I have taken this large cap stocks, and in literature review also, I have found that this AI powered mutual funds or the normal mutual funds performance has been, the index has been selected based on their philosophy of investment. So I have taken this as a benchmark to compare all these funds. Now, my hypothesis is like null hypothesis is AI powered quant funds do not outperform its peers S&P BSE 200 large cap in net selectivity of stocks as per pharma model. And alternate becomes AI powered quant funds outperform its peers S&P BSE 200 large cap in net selectivity of stocks as per pharma model. These are my results and conclusion. So I have found that out of these six, only one quantamental funds, its p-value comes out to be in the significance level that gives us right to reject the null hypothesis. That means we can conclude that AI-powered mutual funds, if we see the data of only quantamental funds, we can reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis was that our AI-powered mutual funds do not beat the normal funds which are managed by the humans. But if we look at the other mutual funds, like 5 other mutual funds, their p-value lies in the confidence level. So that gives us indication that we cannot outrightly reject the null hypothesis. Parallelly, I have also provided the statistics. So my conclusion would be, in my paper, I have concluded that going forward, if all the mutual fund houses, if they develop certain models that gives a parallel return or more return than this quantamental funds, if this fund is able to generate more return compared to the index, that is BSE 200 index. So these funds, if they put in more efforts and they make their models more robust, they can generate better return than that. With this, I finished my presentation. Thank you so much. I am open for any kind of questions.
So the comments from.
Sir, I'm not able to hear, sir. Rohit, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yeah. No, Abhishek, thank you. It's a very interesting work you have done.
Thank you,
AI
sir.
machine learnings are the new area basically being used for investment, for banking in different segments of the financial sector. Uh, Results are nice and you have used right technology. Only issue is because there are only 7 mutual funds which are using AI and you have taken the data from 2019 to 2024. Maybe it's a too short a period to, come up with a robust conclusion whether they outperform the manual mutual funds performance. I don't know whether you can compare their performance if there are other countries which are similar to India, emerging market economies, maybe some of the advanced economies, they might have also the AI or machine learning algorithm for the mutual funds. To expand the scope of the paper and to come out with a robust result, you may consider expanding. You can have the mutual funds which are powered by AI or ML from other markets and improvise basically because of the data limitation, I'm saying. Because this is too short a period to come up with a robust conclusion. That's all from my side. Otherwise, I think this is a good paper and very nice idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights. I will definitely take the other funds which are operating in other parts of the country, and I will take the foreign mutual funds also in order to gather the more data, and I will come out with the more deeper analysis. Thank you so much. Any other questions, sir?
No, Abhishek, sir has finished asking question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we are
Thank you.
seeing, you must be knowing that, Mr. Sunil Kumar sir is here with us today. And Mr. Sunil Kumar sir is here with us today. Sir is Director Monetary Policy RBI. So we are really honored by his presence today. So after the session ends, sir will be interacting with all of you. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for you. And now also this is a great opportunity. Are BCom students also present or only MBA students? BCom students also. So it is a great opportunity for you. This is a finance and economics session which is going on. And I think BCom students also have to write research papers, do dissertation. And so is MBA students. Okay. So this is a great learning platform for all of you. Listen what kind of papers are being presented, how they are presenting, how they are written, the research paper, and what kind of questions are being asked. Okay. And in the end of the session, so I will interact with you. So whatever questions are there in your mind, or you frame questions to ask from sir. Right? Thank you.
So the next presenter is Varshali Budholia and Dr. Tanmay J. The topic of the presentation is emerging trends in fintech and behavioral finance and its impact on mutual fund industries. Please connect your presentation.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to talk to all of you on this esteemed platform. And also, as yesterday our keynote speaker spoke about 4 elements as to how a research work should be in tandem with the industry relevance. So my research work is in tandem with that, wherein he spoke about sustainability, collaboration, and he also spoke about implementability and thinking out of box. So staying true the spirit of these 4 elements, I would like to present my topic here. Can you please confirm, is it visible, the slide?
Yes, it's visible.
Sure, thank you. So my topic is emerging trends in fintech and behavioral finance, its impact on mutual fund industry. I'm Varshali Budholia, I'm research scholar from Symbiosis International University, Pune. So the purpose of this particular research is financial technologies, also known as fintech, have brought disruptive changes to every aspect of financial services and are becoming increasingly important in the world economic system. Emerging trends in fintech and behavioral finance are significantly impacting the mutual fund industry. Fintech innovations are reshaping how investors access and manage their investments. These advancements are enhancing the efficiency, accessibility, and personalization of financial services. Fintech offerings are transforming traditional methods of investing in mutual funds by leveraging technology to streamline processes and provide tailored solutions to investors' needs. And moreover, the intersection of fintech and behavioral finance, because my work is in 2 parts of fintech and behavioral finance, and creating a new paradigm in investment strategies by combining technology with insights from behavioral finance. Financial services are becoming more personalized, optimized for individual investors. And this integration, this intersection allows for a deeper understanding of investor behavior and decision-making processes, leading to more targeted and effective investment recommendations. So design and methodology or the approach of this work, this research work, was a literature review approach was adopted. And the study showed that most fintech and behavioral finance innovations generate positive value for innovators, financial customers, and society. The current implications and future directions are explored based on theoretical and empirical analysis. And when I say empirical, I have a more practical approach towards this research work, wherein it involved in-person meetings with the key officials of asset management companies, including fund managers, and the CXOs at certain level. And also I interacted with the mutual fund distributors at various platforms, including the All India Mutual Fund Conclave, and also the technical training and which I'm currently undergoing through in behavioral finance, which is about how behavioral finance is impacting the mutual fund distribution as a conduit or as a method. So my approach is pretty practical, and whatever I have observed, learned, that is something which I have tried to imbibe to make it more industry relevant, so that it becomes a kind of bridge or a conduit between the research work, academia, and its relevance to industry as well. So this is my originality value, the practical aspect of it. Overall, the ongoing fintech revolution and integration of behavioral finance are reshaping the mutual fund industry by improving accessibility, personalization, and efficiency in investment processes, while also influencing how mutual funds are distributed and marketed. So these rapid transformations in digital and technological innovations and realm is creating a lot of ripple effect. Fintech and digitalization have significantly influenced investors' decision-making process, particularly in mutual fund investments. Investors now have access to digital tools and platforms offering convenience, real-time data, and personalized investment opportunities. The study aimed to explore the impact of fintech and digitalization on investors' decisions regarding mutual fund. Understanding these developments is also crucial for mutual fund companies and policymakers to adapt these strategies to meet evolving investor needs in the digital era. The growth of mutual fund industry in India is attributed to new products, favorable tax regulations, increasing household savings, a well-established regulatory framework, educational initiatives for investors, and the role of distributors is also imminent. So fintech startups are striving with steadfast commitment to change in the financial industry and bringing about scale. August 2023, it actually saw 10 billion transactions over digitally on single platform UPI, and these are the numbers which speak for itself as to how digital transformations have actually transcended into wealth management realm. Digital payments, these are the a few numbers which speak for itself. In January 2024, UPI attained its highest ever transaction volume, reaching 12.2 billion transactions. Projections suggested that daily transactions on the UPI platform could potentially reach 1 billion by year 2025. And these are few numbers, which transactions surging 76%, transaction value escalating by 91%, 2022. Findings from nationwide digital payment survey encompassing a sample size of 90,000 respondents indicate that 42% of respondents have utilized digital payment methods. So what are these growth drivers? India Stack, that is application programming interface, including Aadhaar, UPI, Bharat Bill payments, they have played pivotal role in driving growth. And also Aadhaar and PAN linking, and for KYC, Aadhaar has become an important document, and which is also bringing a lot of uniformity, and it is bringing a lot of finesse in the way mutual fund industry is operating. Technological innovation, the implementation of novel business models underpinned by cutting edge technologies like AI and machine learning has contributed significantly. Increasing internet and smartphone penetration, these numbers are there, 46% reaching to 33 million households by 2026. These are the projections. Favorable demographics, with 68% of Indian population comprising youth and 55% falling within the working age group of 59 years as 2020, expected to rise to 56% by 2025. And we are witnessing a demographic dividend by 2030. Financial inclusion, that is something which has spoken widely about, and various initiatives is also propelling, and particularly in rural areas. Wealth tech, when we talk about wealth tech, what is wealth tech? we talk about wealth management, that is the way of distributing mutual fund products. And these are the fintech platforms in various ways through which the wealth tech is being distributed. So according to data provided by Amphi, so these are the numbers which we can look at, that companies grow, the platforms like Grow, Angel One, and PhonePe emerge as prominent entities facilitating the highest influx of new SIPs. 42% of these SIPs attributed to fintech platforms, and these are the numbers for the platforms which used fintech. These are the wealth tech startups, wealth tech, wealth management, the way mutual funds are distributed. So what exactly is happening in wealth tech realm? Robo-advisory, thematic investments, sticking to particular theme, discount broking models like Zerodha, e-commerce firms, digital wallets, hybrid models of investment advisory. UPI has become key enabler for wealth tech startups, and goal-based investing in mutual funds, wherein the portfolios are curated as per the investor's goals and his aim and the targeted lifestyle and various goals and dreams. Financial inclusion via fintech. Financial inclusion has widely been spoken about, and how fintech has contributed into financial inclusion. These are the findings: empowering unbanked population, challenges in banking service utilization, rise of connected populace, digital transaction paved the way, access to credit remains. It is still a challenge which fintech is trying to work around. Role of fintech players. And these are the bodies which in IAMAI is dynamic organization with vision to diverse spectrum of digital enterprise, founded in 2004 by prominent online publishers. Then Fintech Convergence Council, established in 2017, operating under the umbrella of Internet and Mobile Association. And these are the global
Hello.
Yes.
Please wrap up your presentation fast. You have
Sure.
already elapsed on
Yes.
the time.
Sure. So I'll quickly move to the behavioral finance thing, and I'll quickly finish it. Behavioral finance, there's one key aspect. We all know that overconfidence, loss aversion, anchoring, herd mentality, confirmation bias, mental accounting, other various biases which operate on the decision-making process. So what is new, which is happening in mutual fund? So new is this particular concept called DISC, interesting, which is a new concept which is being prevalent in behavioral finance, wherein the distributors are being trained as to how to understand what are those biases which are impacting clients' decision-making process. So this is all about understanding the interplay between behavioral finance, identify, address client biases, customize communication, and develop personalized investment strategies. That is about this DISC. And conclusion is twofold. Benefits from fintech are exemplified in the numerical terms, and behavioral finance plays a critical role in modern investment philosophy. And the intersection is going to play important role in technology and behavioral finance's mutual fund realm. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Asal, for your presentation. The topic is very interesting, but it is more of a descriptive, basically what the fintech, different modes of investments, behavioral finance, we talked about. It would be nice if you could deep dive into basically the hard data and do some kind of comparative analysis, even if there is no modeling you are not able to do, to at least make the data analysis based on different time periods, comparing the mutual funds, which are basically supported by fintech or non-fintech. So some kind of analysis maybe you can think about. And another thing, you should look into the relationship between the household financial savings and this fintech revolution or behavioral finance revolution because of that. So how it has impacted whether the household financial savings have gone up after this fintech revolution. You rightly mentioned, you quoted one UPI number, and yeah, UPI has been a great success. In fact, the volume of UPI when it started in 2021 was for the full year 22 billion, and for the latest period 2024 it has gone up to 131 billion. So UPI has been a great success. Not only UPI, in the digital landscape, a lot of new innovations have happened, and India, in terms of digital infrastructure, is way ahead of most of the jurisdiction in the world. And other countries are really coping us, or they are asking the collaboration with the Reserve Bank and other regulators in this space. So you must basically try to see how this digitization in the Indian economy, particularly in the financial space, is impacting household financial savings, or maybe you can look at the other side, what kind of risk basically it is for the financial risk to the economy in terms of financial stability. Because as fintech allows quick entry and exit, so how much basically the risk it entails in terms of investment, and how to circumvent that basically, if you could touch upon that to make systems more robust. Also, the third aspect I would touch upon is in your research, since you have interacted with the managers in AMCs and other stakeholders about this cyber frauds. So, a lot of people in the name of fintech may also be basically cheating the gullible investors who are in the market. What kind of preventive measures can be taken? If you could really touch upon that aspect as well,
Right.
that would be really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Inputs are really valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Working. Okay.
Hello. So the next presenter is Tanjot Kaur. The topic of presentation is impact of behavioral finance in investment decision making, a comprehensive analysis of psychological factors. I guess there is a spelling mistake. Psychological factors affecting investment decisions. Tanjot Kaur.
Yes, sir, I'm right here. So should I begin?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, sir. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Hello? All right, sir.
Yes, it's
All right, sir. Good morning, respected faculties and my fellow candidates. Today, I will utilize this opportunity to expand upon the topic I have chosen for my research paper. We will cover the following concepts in the presentation: the definition, types of behavioral biases, the research overview, data analysis and the hypothesis testing, and the conclusion. Behavioral finance is a field of study that examines how psychology influences people's financial decisions. Unlike traditional finance, which assumes investors act rationally, behavioral finance acknowledges that emotions and cognitive biases can often lead to irrational choices. There are three main behavioral biases that affect investment decisions. There are heuristics, prospect theories, feelings, and emotions. Let's expand upon these individually. Heuristics are mental shortcuts that helps us make decisions quickly, but they can also lead to biases. Some of the three common types of heuristic biases are availability bias. In availability bias, we judge the likelihood of events based on how easily we can recall them. For example, We may overestimate the risks of shark attacks because we are centralized in the media. The next is anchoring bias. We rely too heavily on the first piece of information we hear when making a decision. For example, we may be more likely to buy a house if the starting price is lower, even if it's still above the market value. The next bias is representative bias. We classify things based on how similar they seem to stereotypes or prototypes. For example, we might assume someone dressed in a suit is a lawyer, even though this is not always the case. The next we will expand upon is prospect theory. So prospect theory is a cornerstone concept in behavioral biases. It describes how people make decisions under risks, particularly when those decisions involve potential gains and losses. Prospect theory argues that individuals are more sensitive to losses than they are to gains of equivalent value. There are mainly two types of risks under this theory. The first one is loss aversion. People feel losses more intensely than gains of the same size. This can lead to risk-seeking behavior for potential losses and risk-averse behavior for potential gains. The next one is framing effects. The way information is presented can influence our choices. People tend to be more sensitive to avoiding losses than acquiring gains. The third one is feelings and emotions. We all must have experienced it somewhere in our lives. Emotional biases play a significant role in behavioral bias. These emotions can cloud our judgments and lead to irrational decisions. For instance, loss aversion stems from a fear of losing, leading us to prioritize avoiding losses over acquiring gains. Similarly, overconfidence fueled by a feeling of self-assurance can make us disregard potential risks or overestimate our abilities. Feelings and emotions play a central role in behavioral bias. Unlike traditional finance, which assumes purely rational actors, behavioral finance acknowledges that emotions can hijack our decision-making processes, leading us to make choices that aren't necessarily in our best interest. So I carried out my research by distributing questionnaires to 150 people. Let's dive more deeper into how the research was carried. So the research objective. My primary objective of the research was to how behavioral finance affects and is relevant to investors' investment decision. The secondary objectives were to research different elements that affects investors' decision when making investments, to examine investor psychology and behavior, and the third one is to ascertain people's inclination towards investment. My sampling plan was I covered the people from Delhi. The sampling frame were a group of investors, and the sampling method was convenience sampling. And as I mentioned before, I took 150 people for the questionnaires. I employed a descriptive research design in my particular case, which is meant to categorize the features of the population or phenomena under study. My scope of the study was restricted to Delhi, India. The investigation was restricted to specific finance theories, and the scope encompasses investors of all ages and gender. My data collection methods, the primary ones were questionnaires, interviews, schedules, and observation techniques. The secondary data I employed were from books, newspapers, articles, magazines, blogs, and the internet. So the data analysis and hypothesizing. As I mentioned before, questionnaires were distributed to assess the impact of various behavioral finance, mainly overconfidence bias, emotional bias, convertism bias, and loss aversion. We were able to test the following hypothesis through the response received. The H0 is there is no influence of behavioral finance in investment decision making. The H1 is there is a direct influence of behavioral finance in investment decision making. So from the questions and data analysis, it was presented that HO is rejected and there exists a direct influence of behavioral finance in investment decision making. Now let's move on to the conclusion. Behavioral finance is a growing field in India, offering valuable insights into investor decision making. By understanding investor biases, financial advisors can help clients make more informed choices and achieve their long-term financial goals. Research suggests that Indian investors are susceptible to biases like overconfidence, herding bias, and mental accounting. Regulatory reforms promoting financial literacy and investor protection are crucial to mitigate these biases. As the Indian financial market matures, incorporating behavioral finance principles can enhance investor well-being and promote a more stable system. So, in order to become a great investor, one must understand their own psychology when it comes to evaluating the various investment options available in the Indian capital market and make the ultimate conclusion regarding which one is the best. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, and thank you for the interesting presentation. Behavioral
Thank you so much.
finance impact on the investment decision making.
Yes.
I have just one or two comments to offer on that. So maybe the sample size 150, maybe you can expand it because 150 appears to be on the lower side to get the results. The robust. Maybe this is a preliminary work, so you can going forward expand it. And maybe one or two more cities nearby instead of Delhi.
Okay.
Second, you can just explain investment in which instruments basically. So you are only focusing on mutual funds or financial instruments, or you are also looking on the real estate, gold, jewelry, and what kind of investments. I mean, you can really expand the ambit of your study while looking at basically the impact of behavioral finance on the investment decision making of the households or individuals. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
The next presenter is Jonika Lamba. The topic of the presentation is unraveling the factors resultant of COVID-19 impacting the stock market using interpretive structural model. Jonika Lamba, please connect.
Hello, sir. I'm here. I'm
Yes,
sharing my screen, sir.
please share your screen.
So, is my screen visible?
Yes. Go for full screen.
Good morning, respected faculty members and fellow participants. The topic of my research paper is unraveling the factors resultant of COVID-19 impacting the Indian stock market using the interpretive structure model. This is my presentation outline, introduction, followed by the objectives of the study, research methodology, data analysis and interpretation, significant contribution to both academics and practice, and conclusion. Now the topic is unraveling the factors resultant of COVID-19 impacting the stock market using the ISM model, that is the interpretive structure model. In the introduction part, the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in a series of disturbances in the several areas, such as am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Carry on.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption. The major goal of this study is to create a model based upon the interpretive structure modeling. This model This model aims to explain the hierarchy of the components that have emerged as a result of COVID-19 and their effects on important areas such as healthcare, economics, environment, and social dynamics. The study aims to not only identify the immediate effects of the pandemic, but also to uncover the underlying factors that influence the long-term trends. By combining the real-world data, expert knowledge, and theoretical frameworks, our goal is to create a complete model based upon the interpretive structure model approach. This model will capture the ever-changing nature of these aspects and offer the practical insights for the decision makers, regulators, and the stakeholders. The findings of the study provide a valuable contribution to the continuing discussion on the post-pandemic recovery and sustainable development by utilizing the analytical capabilities of the ISM and incorporating many views. These are the objectives of my study: to identify the primary components that have been directly affected by the pandemic and examine how they are interconnected. The second objective is to suggest the strategic initiatives and the policy suggestions that are based upon the insights derived from the ISM model. Now, the research methodology, as the data related to the study did not exist, forming the panel of experts is appropriate for keeping the concept of model exchange isomorphism. 15 valid responses are used in the analysis, modeling, and classification. The data is collected through a field survey using a matrix type VAXO-based questionnaire. This is the flowchart showing the stepwise classical procedure of the ISM that is adopted from the literature Abbas 2021. First of all, the list of the leading factors have been identified. Thereafter, I have developed the structure self-interaction matrix. Thereafter, they developed the reachability matrix, partition the reachability matrix into the different levels. Thereafter, the diagram has been developed, followed by developing the final model. These are the factors that were influencing the stock price volatility during the COVID-19 pandemic. The first factor is lockdown restriction in the internal movement. Second is panic buying and panic selling, increased mortality rate. Fourth one is investor psychology and the sentiments. Fifth one is government policy. Sixth one is commitment to the corporate social responsibility. Seventh is financial efficiency of the microfinance institutions. Eighth one is government intervention. Ninth is Google search engine. 10th is COVID-19 vaccine. 11th is restriction on the international travel. 12th is global market situation. This is the structure self-interaction matrix. It basically depicts a comprehensive view of the relationship between the various variables in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic impact on the business environment. Notably, the fear of capital loss is strongly associated with the hoarding of the COVID supplies, increased mortality rate, and a halt in the business operation. The lower valuation variable too appears to be influenced by the multitude of factors, including the fear of capital loss, waiver of interest on the EMIs, hoarding of the COVID supplies, negative media news, and increased mortality rate, and a halt in the business operation. The next matrix is the reachability matrix. This matrix here presents a comprehensive view of the relationships between the various variables, specifically focusing on their driving power and dependence within a given system. In the terms of driving power, it's evident that the fear of capital loss and lower valuation hold the highest score, both receiving an impressive A. This suggests that these variables exert strong influences on other aspects within the system. This table shows the final reachability matrix. The final reachability matrix provides an understanding of the interplay between the various variables within the given system, emphasizing that both driving power and dependence power. Notably, the fear of capital loss and lower valuation emerge as the most influential factors, each boosting a driving power score of 9, indicating a substantial impact on other variables. Changes in the bank interest rate follows closely behind with a driving power score of 7, suggesting a moderate level of influence, particularly on the fear of capital loss and lower valuation. This is the level partitioning table. This is the micmac matrix. This is the diagram that has been made using the ISM. This is the final model showing the interrelationship between the various variables that are resultant of the COVID-19. Now the significant contributions to both academics and the practice. A comprehensive ISM model is being developed to offer a holistic perspective on the issues that have emerged as a result of the pandemic. An examination of these interconnected dynamics and factors that shape the ability to recover and adapt during the pandemic. Third is the practical suggestions for the politicians, corporations, and the civil society organizations to effectively address the difficulties and advantages brought up by the pandemic. The progression of the conceptual frameworks in the system thinking and structure analysis, namely in the realm of crisis management and the development of the resilience. Lastly, followed by the conclusion, as we begin the study endeavor, it is important to recognize the pressing nature and increased nature of the work ahead. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly transformed our environment, and our capacity to comprehend, adjust, and create will ultimately shape our shared destiny. This research aims to provide a valuable contribution to the continuing discussion on the post-pandemic recovery and sustainable development by utilizing the analytical capabilities of ISM and incorporating many views. The model generated using ISM will help to identify the interconnectedness among different factors resultant of COVID-19. This model will capture the ever-changing nature of these aspects and offer a practical insight for decision makers, regulators, and the stakeholders. These are the references for the research paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Donika, for the presentation. You have done the primary survey. You mentioned about the questionnaire.
So I have done a primary study for the experts only because the factors have been identified from the literature.
And for the factors which you basically around 11, 12 or more factors.
Yes. So these factors have been identified from the literature, and the Vexo matrix has been developed with the opinions of the experts in the field of finance. This matrix has been developed.
So basically, you have done the survey of the experts in the field, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then the impact on the stock market. Have you done some analysis based on their response, or how, or just their response you have further reported, like what they think?
So right now I have just collected the responses and have developed this metric so that an ISM model can be developed so that the interrelationship between these vectors can be studied further, sir.
Okay, so this is work in progress basically. I mean, thank you. I have nothing
Yes,
more.
sir.
Because I thought I was looking for the final results where you can really correlate or even establish some kind of the causality with stock market, which are the factors which
Yes,
were.
sir. I will carry forward this research for this analysis, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next presenter is Richa Kumari. Okay, she's not here. Next one is Shifa Hassan and Renu Ghosh. Shifa Hassan. Please respond. Online but not respond. Shifa Hassan, you're not.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. The topic of her presentation is the role of ESG factors in driving sustainable investment strategies. Okay, you can start your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shifa Hassan. I am a research scholar from Netaji Subhash University of Technology. And my topic for this presentation is the role of ESG factors in driving the sustainable investment strategies. Basically, I have done a literature review of the environmental, social, and governance factors in the sustainable financial investment field. So when we are talking about the ESG factors, these are basically the criteria that we use to assess the company's impact on the environment, society, and the governance practice. These are very important factors which are very crucial for the investment, sustainable investment, as these align with the financial goals along with the ethical and the responsible business practices. My object of this research was to study about the ESG factors in sustainable finance. So basically, I have done a literature review in which I have taken the data, secondary data from different databases like Scopus and Web of Science. I have used the keywords like ESG, sustainable investing, and financial investment. From that, I have got a number of papers from which I have derived, taken the variables and the factors which I have presented below. For the environmental factors, we can see that climate change is very important factor in which companies are making an effort to reduce their greenhouse emission, and to they are adapting the different factors which can help for the climate change, and they are slowly transitioning to the renewable energy sources. Basically, they are trying different ways to decrease their carbon emissions and to do businesses which are efficient in energy. For the resource depletion, they are working on the sustainable management of different natural resources like water, minerals, forests, that they can have long-term availability of these natural resources. Then for the pollution, they are taking different measures to decrease the use of natural resources and to minimize the waste that they are producing from their operations. They are also working on reducing the air and water pollution and promoting different ways in which they can promote environmental friendly practices. Then for the social factors, they are working on the social factors that can align with the ESG, for which number one is the human rights, in which they are upholding the fundamental human rights for ensuring the fair labor practices and preventing discrimination in the workplace. Then for the labor standards, they are providing safer working conditions, fair wages, and employee-friendly policies that promote well-being and job satisfaction. Then they are also engaging in local communities or in community engagement that they can contribute for the overall well-being of the societies in which the company can operate. Finally, for the governance factors, they are working for the corporate ethics, board diversity, and transparency. They are upholding the high standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability in business practices and decision making. For the board diversity, they are ensuring that they can bring different directors which have a different range of backgrounds, or they have different perspectives of experience while working. So they can give us different perspectives for doing the governance factors. Then for the transparency, they are providing clear and comprehensive disclosures of financial performances, that where are the things that they are doing their investment. And then they are also promoting the sustainable initiatives. What there has been seen while incorporating the ESG factors, they have seen there is a rise in sustainable investing, which is in the demand, recent demand, because investors nowadays are seeing the long-term value and risk mitigation potential for the companies, and they are prioritizing their responsible and ethical practices along with the financial performances. For integrating the ESG into the investment decisions, they are basically initially they are doing the research, they are analyzing the company's ESG performances, seeing if they are aligning with the investors' value or investment goals or not. So they are seeing the ESG performances along with their investment thing. So both of them are aligning with each other or not. Then they are evaluating the potential risk that they can get from from aligning with the company's ESG practices, and the what are the impacts on the financial performance of the company if they are following the ESG practices. Then finally, they are implementing the ESG factors into their investment decision process to actively monitor the company's progress on sustainability initiatives. What are the challenges and limitations of ESG investing? The major limitation is that data is not easily available. Some companies are saying that they are doing the ESG factors, they are incorporating the ESG factors, but they are not. And they have been inconsistent reporting and limited disclosure of the ESG metrics. So it is very challenging for an investor to accurately assess the performance of a company in relation to the ESG factors. Then it is related to the subjectivity. because we have to interpret and weigh the ESG factors, that which factor is more important than the other factors, for which we have to use different approaches. Each investor is using different approaches and opinions for seeing the ESG factors, whether they have to give the weightage to the environmental factor or the society factor or the governance factor. So it is related to the subjectivity of the investor. Then finally is the regulatory uncertainty, because regulatory frameworks are rigorously changing. There are different standards for ESG reporting, which can create uncertainty and it can complicate the investment decision making. Then finally, what is the future of sustainable finance? We can see that if we incorporate the sustainable finance in our investment decision, that will increase our transparency. It will improve the disclosure and the reporting standards, that will provide investors with more comprehensive and reliable ESG data. Then there will be an increase in the regulatory frameworks. It will strengthen the regulations and guidelines that will help in ESG practices, and that will help us to adopt the sustainable way of investing. Then there will be a technological advancement, because we will follow different innovative technologies like artificial intelligence and blockchain, that will help us to integrate better with the ESG factors for the investment decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Siva. Thank you for a very, very interesting topic you have chosen for your research. Climate change, ESGs are very paramount going forward, and to have sustainable development in the economy.
Yes, sir.
We are all aiming at net zero by 2075, and I think most of the countries have given their targets. India has also given the target, and there is an increased focus on the green energy in India and other countries. This is just a nice beginning. I would suggest that you can explore at the next phase. You can take the listed companies data from BSE.
Yes, sure.
And from their balance sheets, you can basically identify or rank the companies in terms of ESG spending, ESG parameters.
Yes, sir.
And then try to see the relationship on the investment in those companies. So the companies which have higher ranking in terms of ESG, so whether they are attracting more investment vis-a-vis other companies. So that will be the empirical part of your study, where you can really take it to the next level. Already few studies have been done in this particular area. One of my colleague also did in the Zoom5 on ESG and the corporate performance, basically in the Indian scenario. So you can do similar kind of work for focusing on investments.
Sure,
so thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the suggestion.
Next is Tuhin Siddharth. And the topic of presentation is, can fintech influence sustainable financial inclusion? Developing a research model. Tuhin Siddharth.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are audible. Your screen is visible. Please start your presentation.
First I've done is primarily the topic is, can fintech influence sustainable financial inclusion? And the idea is to develop a research model for the same. So, sir, in this slide, I primarily defined fintech. Fintech is actually a short form of financial technology, which is basically the use of technology to deliver financial services. Financial inclusion is defined by the World Bank to provide usable and affordable financial products and services to everybody in the world. And sustainability primarily is followed under ESG guidelines, so that the planet people and so that we can, yes. So it's basically the development that meets the criteria, so without compromising the future needs of the people. So these three aspects are taken into consideration when we developed a model where fintech to see the impact that fintech is creating on financial inclusion and sustainability. I use the standard time model, rather extended time model, Professor Davis, and here there are three independent variables: perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and perceived social equity. It is a two-step model, and the dependent variables are attitude towards fintech adoption and sustainable financial inclusion. So these are the hypotheses. PU, PEOU, and PSC have a positive effect on attitude. Attitude has a positive effect on SFI, and PU, PEOU, and PSC also has an effect on directly on SFI. The pictorial representation of the model is this. Okay, for this a questionnaire was prepared. A questionnaire was prepared primarily consisting of two sections. One that recorded the demographic details of the person, and the other, all the constructs were measured using a Likert scale. So to make the study more admissible, respondents were people who have already working in this field, mainly banking, microfinance, NGOs, other sustainability segment. And a total of 610 respondents were interviewed, out of which 550 had valid responses that were further analyzed. When we collected the data, the multicollinearity of the data and the common method bias was checked using SPSS. So when we ran the data in SPSS software, the VIF was the VIF of all the independent variables were between 1.4 to 2.2, which is within the acceptable standard of less than 10, and the tolerance level was maximum up to 0.694, which is also acceptable, which is more than 0.1. Also, the Herman single factor test was undertaken, so that the total variance of by one factor was less than 50%, which came out to 33.614, which is well below the standard benchmark. Data was again analyzed for its reliability and validity. So what we did is here is that the hypothesis, the framework that we had was tested under the same model, structural equation modeling model. The Cronbach alpha scores were above the recommended value, that is 0.7. The CR and the AVE, average variance explained, were also considered, and they were also found to be on the right side of the range. So this suggested that the data has all the norms of convergent validity. This is the data sheet that I have prepared, and the square root of AVE also was between the range of 836 to 992, and it was greater than the squared correlation between the construct. So we find out that this is criteria of discriminant validity has also been achieved out here. So once the data is correct, we ran the hypothesized model, and we checked the model fit in this case. The goodness of fit, NFI, CFI, all the indices were as per the required model, and it has been measured. The C-mean has been measured, C-mean by DF, RMAC, and P-close, all have been measured, and they are as per the required model, as per the standard requirements. So that has been achieved. Once that has been achieved, we have tested the hypothesis, and we've done the path analysis of the model. In the path analysis, we found out that attitude has a positive attitude has an effect on the SFI. So positive attitude increases the SFI, the sustainable financial inclusion. Also, the independent variables PU, PEOU, and PSC have a significant positive effect on the attitude. We also found out that PEOU has a PEOU has a direct effect on SFI. Now, if the independent variables have a direct effect on SFI, we'll have to check the mediation analysis also to understand whether attitude is actually mediating the whole construct or not. So for that, we have checked the mediation analysis of this, and we found out that PSC doesn't have a significant effect on SFI directly, whereas POU and PU have a partial mediation effect is there. We tested the partial mediation effect using the upper and lower bounds, and since both bounds are positive, so the effect is significant. It cannot be ignored, and the H5 hypothesis 5 and 6 is supported that POU and PU has a direct effect on SFI. So after all this construct, this is the result that we have found out. PUU, PE, and PSC have an effect on attitude. Attitude is SFI, and PU and PEOU also has a direct effect on SFI. This is what the result have indicated. This can be concluded that the adoption of a fintech platform increases the SFI. So if a fintech platform is adopted by the people, it has the capability to increase the financial inclusion of that area also. Also, the usefulness and convenience of a fintech platform results in increasing the sustainable inclusion. If a fintech is useful and is easy to use, easy to adopt, so it will be adopted and it will affect the SFI. And a fintech that is more socially responsible in nature will be preferred than other fintechs as far as SFI is concerned. There are these studies can contribute. This study can contribute significantly in the research of SFI. Also, in overall time model, this can be a contributor. The result may help the government as well as the fintech firms to formulate their strategies. That in turn bridge the financial gap that stays in the country. There are many limitations to this study. First of all, the study is conducted in a small part of India and cannot be globally generalized. So the findings that I have has been found out here can be taken into consideration, and throughout the world, other countries, this can be scoped to find out what is happening out there. And many other demographic characteristics like gender, income level, financial literacy, living condition, poverty, also conditions like perceived risk. How risky is this using a fintech? Trust, how much trustworthy? So there are many other parameters that are still to be studied and that can be added to this study to give a more holistic approach. So this was my work.
Thank you, Tony. A very interesting work you have undertaken. Fintech is playing a major role in the financial inclusion, especially in the sustainable financial inclusion, as compared to the conventional model of the financial inclusion. And you will basically notice that in the recently concluded G20 presidency, it's India. Boosting financial inclusion through fintech was one of the core agenda items, basically, where all countries deliberated upon and decided to take it forward to entrench the financial inclusion in developing and underdeveloped countries. You gave that caveat. The last only comment on the technical part I had was that the sample size is very small. Whether we can generalize the results in terms of robustness. Maybe you consider expanding the sample size. Otherwise, methodology appears to be fine to me. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Next presenter is Drashti Shah. And the topic of presentation is empirical study relating corporate environmental and social performance with corporate financial performance. Drashti Shah.
A very good morning to one and all. Excuse me, sir. I am Dr. Dinnas Variava and I am the
co-author. Your name was also there. I missed out. Sorry.
Yes. It's
Drashti Shah and Dinnas.
Yes, we both would be presenting together. Yes.
Yes. Okay. fine.
Shall I present my screen?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, one and all. Good morning, rather good afternoon, one and all present over here, respected dignitaries, my fellow candidates in the conference. It is our pleasure to present a paper in this conference. The topic of our study is empirical study relating corporate financial performance and corporate social performance with corporate financial performance. I, Dr. Dilnaz Varyava, and my co-author, Dr. Drashti Shah, would be presenting on the same. We are from SR Luthra Institute of Management, a 25-year-old institute from the city of Surat. The three pillars of sustainability, as quoted by the United Nations in today's time and age, are economic performance, environmental performance, and social performance. Our study is trying to understand that what is the impact of environmental sustainability and social sustainability followed by corporates on its financial performance. The United Nations defines sustainability as meeting the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. Corporations are expected today to meet their economic goals by controlling their usage of scarce environmental resources and contributing towards the social needs of all stakeholders. And hence, our study is trying to analyze the same, whether a firm's corporate performance in terms of its economic performance, that is measured through financial performance of firms, is it affected positively or negatively through the environmental performance reflected by the firm and the social performance reflected by the firm. And hence, the study tries to analyze the impact of both of this, that is corporate environmental performance and corporate social performance on corporate financial performance. In order to analyze this further, we did a thorough literature review. And hence, I would like to call upon my co-author, Dr. Drashti Shah, to take the presentation further in terms of highlighting the literature review and the methodology used.
Thank you, Delnas. Good afternoon, one and all present here. Next slide, please. So, corporate environmental performance, the impact is being far and widely measured on the corporate financial performance. So far as the second parameter of corporate social performance on the corporate financial performance is found to be very limited study. Now, this environmental performance can be measured through various models, including toxic discharge, wastage of resources, pollution creation, and the eco-efficiency. So we mainly focused on measurement of eco-efficiency measures, which tries to measure the efficient utilization of the material resources in terms of raw materials like in terms of resources like raw materials, water, energy, as well as reducing the wastage of the same. So that is being found in the literature as well. Next, please. It is being evidenced that there is a positive relationship as well as the negative relationship is being found. The logic behind the positive says that the innovative practices adopted by the corporates significantly influences their new innovative design in the products, and which is mainly captured by the R&D expenditure. And R&D intensity is positively correlated to the profitability. So far as the arguments are concerned, so environmental compliance is often entails the higher cost that are hard to recover. That is, the cost exceeds the benefit which the organizations are getting, and probably it has lead to the negative association. Next. So Talking about the environmental performance, it has led to the negative financial performance of the corporate finances, and the positive relationship are being evidenced by the few literature. So Hart, Ahuja in 1996, and that says that there is a positive relationship, and the second quadrant of this PPT talks about the negative evidences which are being saying that the environmental has caused the negative financial performance of the organizations. Next, please. Even in context of environmental to the financial performance, there are three types of theory which has been very nicely emerged. So first is called as a U-shaped theory, which says that initially environmental performance minimizes the financial performance, and then later on it cost exceeds the benefit. So it is a U-shape like that, decline, and then it increases. Even it is called as a TLGT effect. Inverted U-shape theory says that earlier in the initial stage, it gives the benefits like the reputational benefits. The people take it very good way that the companies are doing the green, work and so on things. So it initially increases the reputation and the financial performance, and then it declines. So it is an inverted U-shape. Recently in the Chinese literature, it is being evidenced that the horizontal S curve is something. So decline first, increase, and then again decline if it reaches to a particular optimum level that is being evidenced. Next, please. So going through the detailed literature review, we found that there is a conflicting results, and the impact of the different that particular results differs with the industries, whether the companies are polluting and non-polluting. It differs with the periods, and it differs with the regions. So far as the knowledge of our as authors concerned, none of the previous studies have incorporated the impact of eco-efficiency based measures and the social responsibility measures on the financial performance. And that is why we have taken up identify the gap of that, and we have taken up that coined a new word, that is a corporate environmental and the social performance, that is CESP, on the corporate financial performance. And we have taken up the period from the 2019 to 2023. Next, please. The objective is to measure the impact of CESP on the financial performance of selected corporates of India. Next. Talking about the data, as on 31st March 2023, we identify 500 top market cap companies listed on NSE stock exchange, and 9 were eliminated because of unavailability of the data, and that comes to 491 corporates. 5 years spanning data from 19 to 23 we have taken up, so that comes up to 2455 observations, and data are taken from the S equity databases and the official website of NSE. Next. So when we talk about the panel regression which we have applied, so for the same, explained variable is return on assets. That is our financial performance measurement. Talking about EPS is our the financial performance indicator. Raw material intensity and the R&D intensity is taken up as the environmental efficiency representation. CSR as the CSR variable. Size, leverage is also taken up. Now, I would like to explain the polluting industry in detail. So going next. So polluting industry is the dummy variable, which is as per the Central Pollution Control Board. There are 17, the industries are categorized as a most polluting industries. Name a few like crude oil, natural gases, and so on things. And there are even 54 subcategories of that red polluting industries. So that 491 firms are being divided into these two categories, and it is being found that 173 companies are belonging to the polluting industries. Talking about the industry dummy, the next please. The industry dummy is here we have categorized the companies into five groups. That is based on the NIC code, 2-digit NIC code. We have divided the entire group into 5 industry groups. So just name an example that what is a group number 1 included. That codes with 0 to 18, like agricultural products, dairy, sugar, tea, and that or particular industries belong to that group number 1, which is renamed as IND1. So this was about the research methodology. Over to you, Delnas.
Thank you, Drashti. Taking our results forward, we have applied panel regression model into 2 equations. So the first equation, we are trying to analyze the model without taking dummy variables into consideration. And in the second model, we have taken the both dummy variables as described by Drashti ma'am into the model. Talking about the applicability of the panel regression models, there are basically 3 panel regression models, that is pooled, fixed effects, and random effects. In order to check the applicability and appropriateness of the respective model in our database, we have done 2 tests. The first test is done as the Bruce-Pagan Lagrange multiplier test to test between the appropriateness of pooled effects model and random effects model. If the appropriateness is of random effects, then in that case, we have done Houseman test to identify whether the appropriate model is random effects or fixed effects. In the second equation, however, since we are using dummy variables which are time invariant, that is for all the 5 years, the dummy variables would be same, and hence fixed effects model cannot be used as an appropriate model because it does not allow fixed effect, it does not allow time invariant dummy variables. And hence we have conducted Bruce-Pagan multiplier test to understand whether the appropriate model is the pooled effects model or the fixed effects model, or the random effects model. As per the results of the first equation, we have found out as per the Lagrange multiplier test that the random effects model is appropriate instead of pooled. Next, we did a Houseman test to identify whether the appropriate model is fixed effects model or random effects model, within which the random effects was rejected at 1% level of significance, and hence random effects model was chosen to be appropriate. Coming to the results of the model, the appropriate tests which are applied are referred from the book Damodar and Gujarati Econometrics and as well as past literature review. As per the results of the model are considered, we have displayed the fixed effects model results as it was found to be more appropriate. All the independent variables or explanatory variables are found to be significant, where the RDI, CSR, and leverage have found to be negatively impacting, whereas other variables has found to be positively impacting the return on assets. The model R square, that is the overall applicability or overall impact of independent variables on the dependent variables, is to the extent of 73% as per the model. The overall significance of the model is found to be significant as per the F test at 1% level. The Durbin-Watson statistics is 2.49, which says that autocorrelation is under control. The unit root testing has been done on all the variables before incorporating them in the model. Coming to the results of the second model, wherein dummy variables were introduced, the results of random effects model has been displayed because that was found to be more appropriate as per the Lagrange multiplier test instead of the pool model. As per the results of this model, it was found that RDI, size, and leverage has got a negative impact, whereas others have got a positive impact, with significant impact of all the variables except for CSR, the dummy variable for pollution, and the dummy variable for industry 3. As far as the significance of the model is concerned, it has been found out significant as per the F statistic. That is, the model has been found significant or appropriate as per the overall model has been found significant as per the F statistics. Commenting upon the findings or the results which the model is indicating, EPS, that is earnings per share, is exerting a positive impact on ROI, meaning firms earning higher earnings per share have also earned higher return on assets. RMI, which is raw material intensity, which is calculated as raw material by sales, is exerting a significant positive impact on ROI. This implies that firms saving on material expenses are not necessarily leading to higher ROI. RMI is a environmental performance measure, which says that lower the material cost leads to lower wastage of materials or lower wastage of resources, and hence it leads to better environmental performance. However, the result has found out to have a positive impact on ROA, means firms which are saving on material expenses are not necessarily leading to higher return on assets. The second economic parameter variable that we have used is research and development intensity, which is again calculated as the research and development cost divided by the sales per year, which is also exerting a significant negative impact on returns, indicating that firms which have involved higher expenditure on research and development as a percentage of sales are experiencing compromised return on assets. Our corporate social performance indicator, that is CSR, is also measured as a percentage of CSR expenditures to sales. This is exerting a significant negative impact on ROA. This implies that firms spending more on CSR activities to sales are experiencing a lower return on assets. The size variable is found to be significantly positively impacting ROA, which means that larger size firms are able to earn higher return on assets. The leverage variable is also found to be negatively significantly impacting the ROA, indicating that firms with lower leverage, that is lower debt funds or lower borrowings, have had a higher positive impact on ROA. 3 out of the 4 industry dummy variables are found to be statistically significant, which implies that the sector to which the firm belongs does affect its return on assets. ROA is not significantly affected by the fact that the firm belongs to a polluting group or a non-polluting group of industry, since the dump variable, which is the polluting variable, is found to be insignificant. That is insignificantly affecting the return on assets. Coming to the conclusion, the results of the study is endorsing that it costs to be green, and hence the results have reported a negative relationship of CEP and CSR with financial performance. Firms can contribute to environmental and social sustainability by compromising returns on assets. This has been evidenced by some of the past studies. The results indicate that environmental performance and social performance are maybe exerting a higher cost to organizations, and however, that is leading to compromised financial performance. As a sustainability environment of today, we would want environmental, social, as well as economic performance, which are the 3 pillars, to be achieved together. However, it is being difficult to achieve all together as per the results of the present study, which has been validated by some of the past studies as well. Since our sample has been comprehensive enough, the results showing negative. However, there is still a lot of scope in terms of, as ma'am rightly mentioned, there is a U-shaped theory and there is an inverted U-shaped theory, which might believe that in the later years, the economic, the environmental and social performances would start to become cheaper, and hence it will be positively affecting the profits or the financial performance in the coming years. At conclusion, we would like to say that regulatory authorities, business practitioners, as well as research scholars, we all need to strengthen our efforts towards achieving all the 3 pillars of sustainability together, so that we can have a better future for our next generations to come. These are our references. Thank you.
Yeah, very good paper, Drashti and Dilnas. Thank you very much for taking us through your findings. This is what basically I was referring to in the earlier presentation by SIPA, just to see the impact of the ESG factor on investment, taking the corporate data set and doing some kind of panel estimation. Very nicely you explained basically the U-shape, the inverted U-shape and S-shape, how basically the environment and the social parameters impact the performance. You eliminated the governance from that. So from ESG, you just took only the first 2. Your results are fairly okay, but there are some counterintuitive results, though you also admitted in your presentation, like RDI and CSR has negative in the first model impact on the performance. That should not be the case, I believe. But CSR turned positive in the second model, but it remains statistically insignificant.
Yes.
Again, the RMI has basically not the desired direction. It has basically the positive results. That should not be the case. On the technical front, though you have done fair amount of work, but I would recommend maybe the two comments I will offer. One, you may explore expanding the time period of the study, because then it will give you more flexibility, and maybe your results you will see much better. Or wherever you see now some kind of contradiction, so you try to explain what is the reason behind that. Maybe they will turn out to be better in line with the underlying theory and the empirical evidence already here. Second, maybe you can think of trying the panel GMM, because there could be some endogeneity issue here. Some of the variable might be endogenous, and just to tackle that endogeneity. I mean, just try that model, panel GMM. You can just take the lag of the dependent as well as independent variable as an instrument variable, the model, and you try to run that. Maybe the contradictions which are there in the final results might disappear. So that will really improve your paper. But congratulations, it was really very good paper. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable
Thank you.
comments. We'll surely incorporate this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So there are few papers that has been left out. I don't know if the presenter is present. Okay, participant. Please, Dheeraj Kumar. You're offline. Okay. So offline.
I
Send your presentation or
yes, ma'am.
Ajay, have it in pen, right? Right now. Got a laptop. Take a laptop box, right? Ajay, laptop. Last one.
Will I connect the presentation from here? Will I play the presentation from here?
Physical. Yes. I think you can go ahead to start.
Okay, I'll play this.
Good morning. Good afternoon to one and all present. It's not difficult.
No, this is different. This has already been presented. No, it has been presented. His topic is aspect of technology in finance and economics. Please check.
Ma'am, you have sent, so you have sent, it's not here, yes. It's in here.
Just 2 minutes. What's up? Meanwhile, presenters Dr. Ripu and Richa Kumari. If you are present, please let me know. Dr. Ripu, topic of presentation is revolutionizing finance, the synergy of smart cards and fintech in process and product innovation. Are you present? Because I cannot see you online. Okay. Okay, last call for Richa Kumari. Okay, so I guess then Dheeraj is the last presenter. Restroom लेके जाइए. भेज दिया.
बाकी चीज हमको कल आपने जो देखे हैं करेक्ट कर दिया और एक लिखा था वो भी ऐसे करवा दी और उसका ऊपर का कर दिया प्लेसमेंट वाला और एक्शन अगर हो जाएगा तो हमको बता दिया वही बस ऐड करना और फ्रंट पेज आज दे देंगे Sit down with the students are there. हाँ वही सोच कर रहे हैं जहाँ हो जाए चाहे यहाँ मिले हॉस्पिटल या ऊपर क्लासरूम
हो गया
आज कंप्लीट हो रहा है उसका डिजाइन
लास्ट प्रेजेंटर
सर
हाँ वो कर रहा है सर प्लीज yeah.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Dheeraj Kumar, research scholar from part1 University, Patna. My topic is aspect of technology in finance and economics. According to Pearson, financial inclusion means making sure that everyone in a society has access to formal financial service they need. According to Dr. C. Rangarajan, financial inclusion as the action of guaranteeing that marginalized communities, including those with the lower income and less robust social protection system, have access to inexpensive, accessible, and timely credit. Overall, all the definition stress the need of making sure that everyone in the community has easy access to financial services. If I talk about India's story, in 2014, the Prime Minister launched Jan Dhan Yojana with the goal of providing citizens with easier access to banking, money transfer, credit, insurance, and retirement benefits. A number of measures have been implemented to ensure financial inclusion by the Indian government and the central bank. The Mudra Bank, PPP, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, and no frills accounts, those that need a minimum or no balance, are all part of these programs. Key distributing programs like Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and other startup India scheme, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Atal Pension Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Bima Yojana. If I talk about during COVID-19 lockdown, so it break into the year 2020 and 21. Significantly affected economies throughout the world, products and services were disrupted, mobility was constrained. In order to access social benefit and reduce reliance on physical cash during crisis, it is essential to promote the use of digital payment and transit. The Financial Access Survey 2021 found that whereas national depend largely on the online and mobile banking, low and middle income countries prefer mobile money. A positive opportunities presented itself to the banking sector during COVID-19 pandemics, which highlighted the need of cashless financial services. The proportion of population with smartphone ownership and internet use is one of the measures used to quantify digital access. More people in India are able to use financial services because to the country's digital finance infrastructure, which include a digital payment network and Aadhaar, a digital biometric identification system. At present, 760 million people access to the internet. India has the world's biggest digital identity scheme, Aadhaar, with 1.36 billion users. A sustainable sum of around 27.76 lakh crore has been distributed by the end of December 31, 2022, resulting in saving about 2.2 lakh crore. Digital payment between individual or business may be made easily using UPI as it works with both app-based smartphone and feature phone. A number of initiatives have contributed significantly to the increase in the use of digital payment system throughout the country, including the BHIM app, Promoting a safe and open digital environment is an important responsibility of the National Payment Corporation of India. If I talk about literature review, digital financial inclusion and gender equality are two of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Digital financial inclusion seeks to include those who do not have access to conventional banking in the formal finance system by providing them with financial services using digital devices such as cell phones or other devices. Improving capital allocation, increasing financial efficiency, and increasing green innovations in companies are all part of this. Modern innovation like mobile money, the internet of things, and artificial intelligence make this organic. Digital financial services are becoming more popular, and banking industries' imbalance of modern technologies is fueling financial inclusion. Mobile money services have the potential to greatly expand access to formal financial services. Objective of the study: identify strong proof that digital technology has great financial inclusion in India. Before and after COVID-19 epidemics, we want to look at how financial inclusion were using digital technology. For the purpose of inclusion, the positive effects of digital financial inclusion on economic and social growth of India. Now, if you talk about the graph, growth of digital payment use in India, it has been slide 20. If I talk about the graph, the growth of digital payment use in India has been increased. In March 2018, it was 100, and now in September 21, it rose to 304.06 billion. Now the next graph is, if I talk about digital payment index, so it also increased. Now next is digital payment enabling financial inclusion faster. Various payment applications such as PhonePe, Google Pay, Paytm, and others, these companies have built a financial platform that millions of people use regularly. Impact of digital financial inclusion on social economic development. Research and literature support financial inclusion as a means for government to reduce poverty and promote long-term economic development that benefit all citizens. It explores the importance of women participation in the financial system to empower them and enhance their knowledge of money. Governments have invested heavily in financial inclusion to help low-income households get access to insurance and other maintained financial services. Let's talk about conclusion. Digital payment have had a profound effect on financial inclusion, economic development, and India's status as a leading digital economy among rising nations. There is benefit to financial inclusion, but there are also new challenges like cyber security, consumer protection, data security must be patronized. In order to promote financial innovation while also addressing threats to financial stability, there has been a lot of improvement in providing financial services, but low utilization rates converse about where they are always beneficial. Technology has created job opportunity in urban and rural area. Technology has increased the number of economic activity in urban and rural area, rural to urban area, and urban to rural areas. Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you. You explained the progress of digital payments and financial inclusion based on whatever data you just explained to us. I'd like to add some empirical modeling to how the fintech has really impacted the financial inclusion in the case of India. Try to do some kind of modeling going forward, because then it becomes really a very basic
paper. So that's what I would suggest. Thank you.
So we come to an end of this session. Report here.
Because I covered most of the comments.
Okay.
So here I will interact here.
Anyhow, you feel comfortable.
Wherever I am, okay there.
Yeah. Right from
Not close.
Yeah. No, I can go to the labs and then. Good everybody. At the outset, let me thank MIT University staff for inviting me to chair this session of the international conference. We had several papers today. Some of them very interesting. But most of the papers were pertaining to finance, fintech, digital transformation, behavioral finance, impact of ESG on the performance of the corporates or performance of the investment, sustainable investment. It was really a very interesting session I had. So I thought after this I will interact with you and I will touch upon some of the interesting developments which are happening in the Indian economy. Post-COVID, Indian economy has really displayed a great amount of resilience and rebounded strongly from a contraction of -5.8% to a growth of 9.6% in 2020. And then further, next year growth in the economy was 7% in 2022-23, and it further increased to 7.6%. So in a way, the Indian economy has been able to maintain an average growth rate of 8% in the last 3 years, 2021, 2022, 23, 23, 24, which is really commendable in an environment where we are facing multiple external shocks. When we were coming out of COVID, the global economy was confronted with Russia-Ukraine conflict. This led to a sharp increase in commodity prices, with an implication for inflationary situation across the globe, including India. And we have seen inflation going very high, even in the advanced economies like US, Europe, and in India too. So though we were late to catch up with that, but we also ultimately had to face high inflation. Second, recent geopolitical conflict in Middle East, you all are aware, which also had a bearing on overall sentiment and business environment. But India stood strong, and Indian economy recorded the highest growth in the. It emerged basically one of the fastest growing large economy. They might be small economies must have recorded very high, but those are very small economies. But among large economies, India has been the fastest growing economy in the last 3 years. And good thing is, amid these global challenges, India could withstand and record a very solid growth based on domestic demand. That is the strength of our economy. Otherwise, our external demand has been really moderating because of the slowdown in the global economy. I mentioned these different external shocks, but we grew at a very fast pace thanks to the strong domestic demand, which has been really the hallmark of our growth journey from the very beginning, even during the global financial crisis and subsequently whenever we had these kind of global challenges, India could withstand those challenges because our domestic demand is strong. Our growth is driven by domestic demand, unlike other emerging market economies like China, where a large part of the growth is being contributed by the external demand. And that's why the China is struggling when the global economy is slowing down. As of now, India is the 5th largest economy in the world. And according to International Monetary Fund, India will become the 3rd largest economy, surpassing Japan and Germany before 2030, which is really a great achievement. In fact, in terms of purchasing power parity, there are two different, one GDP is being estimated at the current prices, and one measurement to compare the economies of purchasing power parity. In terms of purchasing power, we are already the 3rd largest economy. In terms of share, India is contributing 16% to the world growth now, and which is likely to increase as per the International Monetary Fund 18% by 2022. This reflects the rising significance of the Indian economy. We should really feel very proud. Turning to the outlook, the last year when we reported the 7.6% growth, it was largely driven by the investment sector, and a major part came from government capital expenditure. Because we had a few papers today about the corporate sector. The investment revival in corporate sector is still at the incipient stage. We have to see much more robust and intense revival, which is really warranted, and going forward we are anticipating that. But it has been driven by the government capital expenditure. Government has been focusing on infrastructure building at large scale. So this coming year, the last year when private consumption was just 3% growth, we are expecting with normal monsoons, because now El Nino is failing, La Nino will set in as per the agencies. So we should have a normal monsoon. And in international, IMD has already given a forecast of normal monsoon for 2025. So we expect the rural activity get a boost and rural consumption will get revived. So urban consumption is already steady, driven by the higher growth in services and manufacturing. Only the rural consumption was lagging. So in the current year, we anticipate that the rural consumption will also revive, and private consumption will basically become the major driver of the growth in 24-25. And for your information, private consumption otherwise constitute about 60% of our GDP. So private consumption revival is paramount for durable growth in the economy. So we are anticipating that it will catch up in 24-25. Investment is expecting to remain buoyant because of the healthy balance sheet of the banks and corporates, rising capacity utilization in the manufacturing sector, and improving business environment in the Indian economy. So these drivers are likely to boost the investment activity going forward. And government's focus on capital expenditure remains intact even in 2025. So that engine of investment activity is intact. But we anticipate that the corporate investment will kick in 24-25 and join the bandwagon of investment. Coming to net external demand, exports minus imports, with likely improving of the global outlook going forward as commodity prices have remained benign, and the central banks in the advanced economies are likely to start an easing cycle. People are talking about 3 cuts, 4 cuts by Fed in 2024. But whatever may be the number of cuts and whenever Fed starts very soon, it will boost basically the activity there. So the drag from net external demand on growth will further moderate. So taking all these factors into account, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Reserve Bank of India in the latest policy, which was in April, has projected a growth of 7% for the current year 24. So we are likely to have again a very, very robust growth of 7%. Already we have an average growth of 8% in the last 3 years. I'm talking the average 9.6, 7, 7.6. On the top of that, again, we are likely to have 7%, which is very, 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 very good. As I mentioned, that the Indian economy has shown a great resilience, and this resilience has emanated from improving macroeconomic fundamentals, which are really, very strong. If you look at some of the indicators which define the macroeconomic fundamentals, the growth has been robust as already I explained. Inflation has come down from the high of 7.8% in April 22 to 4.9% in March. So we are within the tolerance range of 2 to 6% already. Fiscal deficit has gone to central government's fiscal deficit to 9.2% in 2021 because of COVID and standstill of the economic activity, has already come down to 5.8% in 23-24 devices. And in the entering union budget, the central government has budgeted a fiscal deficit of 5.8%. So it is a reduction of 70 basis points. So that suggests that fiscal policy is on the consolidation path, and it is basically in line with achieving the 4.5% fiscal deficit by 25-26, which is given in the medium-term fiscal consolidation path given in the budget documents. So we are on the right trajectory. So fiscal is also correcting, but that suggests that fiscal stimulus is coming down. That should be negative for the growth. But smartly, what the government is doing, they are achieving the fiscal deficit through reorientation of the expenditure. They are cutting down on the revenue expenditure, the current expenditure, but they are not compromising on the capital expenditure. Even for 24-25, the growth in the capital expenditure has been busted around 17% in the annual budget, which is on the top of around 35% in 2024. So they are already, as percentage of GDP, the capital expenditure of the central government has gone up from 1.9% in 24-25 to almost 3.5% in 24-25. So it has almost doubled as a percentage of the GDP. That is the kind of focus on capital expenditure the government is giving, and that is also reflected in the world-class infrastructure building you might use. External sector has remained resilient. Our current account deficit has come down to 1.2% of GDP in the first 9 months of the 2020. And when I'm talking about the resilience of the external sector, the external buffers play a very important role. External buffers means your foreign exchange reserves. And we have now the foreign exchange reserves of over 640 billion, which provides the imports cover of more than 11 months, basically, which is commendable. So all these indicators suggest that the resilience of the economy is very, very strong. Then the government has taken various structural reforms over the last several years, be it in banking sector, insolvency and banking code, you must have heard about that, most of you are studying finance. Taxation, we have seen GST, we have seen the corporate tax reduction, bringing the corporate tax in line with international levels, providing a competitive edge to our companies, the corporates. Manufacturing, we have a scheme like production linked incentive scheme, labor market laws, digitization. Somebody talked about UPI in the paper. So how the UPI is a game changer. You know that you go to any vegetable vendors, I mean you can make payment through UPI or other digital mode of payments. So these reforms have basically laid a very strong foundation for the growth in the economy. And these reforms, in conjunction with the world-class building of the both physical and digital infrastructure, and rising labor force participation, and demographic dividends, which is all visible here, demographic dividend. All these basically business schools are running because of demographic dividends. India's growth potential has really, really grown up. So there are no official estimate, but growth potential over medium to long term has really gone up, and that is also reflected in the growth rate which we have achieved in the last 3 years post-pandemic. Manufacturing is fast emerging as an engine of growth after remaining laggard for years. I just touched upon PLI scheme as part of the reforms. It has provided a great boost to the electronics and mobile industry. And the other almost 14 industries are covered on PLI. It takes some time to see the final results, but PLI is really working. Increasing participation in the global supply chains is another really driver of manufacturing going forward. China plus one policy, we have heard how basically the whole multinational companies, they are diversifying their supplies. So they are shifting some part of the production or supplies out of China, and India is naturally the beneficiary of that. Coming to services, again, like in the demand side, the 60% of the demand comes from the private consumption. On the supply side, the 60% of the supply comes from services, close to 60% on average. But now, the value addition in services is really catching up. Earlier, we had very low value added services, but now we have high value addition in services, which is paramount for competitiveness and higher growth in the economy. On the export side, earlier we had only software exports. Now we have diversified into business services, other professional services. All these global capability centers, GCC, they are setting up their workshops in India. Like Barclays is a banking company, but Barclays has also a GCC center. They are basically recruiting people from all kind of professional services, be it software, be it accounting. So not only for their entire global operations, they are taking from India to GCC. but they are also basically providing other companies. I'm just giving one example of GCC, but there are other GCCs as well. So there is a shift happening in the services also. Manufacturing is reviving, services shift is happening, structural reforms have been undertaken. External sector has become more and more robust and strong. So all these factors have laid a strong foundation for a higher growth in the coming period. Inflation has thankfully come down. And there has been a very seamless and a very proactive coordination between fiscal and monetary policy. You must have seen during pandemic how the fiscal policy provided basically support in terms of free food grains, for the direct transfers basically to the some segments, providing the credit-free extra lending ECGL scheme to the small and medium enterprises. Whereas Reserve Bank provided ample liquidity, historical, using both conventional and unconventional instruments of liquidity. Targeted liquidity, the sectors which are more affected by the pandemic. So some amount of liquidity was given to banks to on-lend to those sectors. Moratorium on loan payments, restructuring of the loans. So Reserve Bank also played a very active role, and fiscal and monetary policy got to tandem. Now, till April 2022, because inflation remains within the tolerance band, I'll just come to that a bit. So, tolerating little higher inflation, Reserve Bank pursued a policy to support revival in the economy and growth. But as inflation crossed the threshold, then it simply basically its stance from easing to the tightening. You must have seen the May 2022 monetary policy oak cycle meeting where first time rate was increased. And cumulatively, so far, Reserve Bank has raised the policy rate by 250 basis points. And thankfully, on the other side, the fiscal policy has helped in managing the inflation by augmenting the supply side. Wherever there are the pulses or edible oils, where there are price pressures. So Government of India basically helped in managing the supply, whether it was through raising or cutting the rates, custom duties for promoting imports, or banning exports on certain commodities, or they have releasing more stocks of wheat and rice or pulses in the market, so prices. So both fiscal and monetary policy are working in tandem and reinforcing each other's objective. That's really very interesting play out and helping basically overall. I'll just briefly, since session has been going for a long time, I'll just touch upon RBI. The monetary policy has adopted the flexible inflation targeting from 2016. 4% is the target, middle target, and there's a range of 2% either side, so 2 to 6%. India adopted flexible inflation targeting rather than the point inflation targeting like advanced economies because we have more structural rigidities. We have food which has a large share in our consumption basket, and the food prices are highly volatile. So taking everything into account, it best suited us to go for inflation targeting in terms of flexible range. In fact, the wisdom prevailed in other countries, realizing basically based on India's experience, some of the countries are now shifting from point inflation targeting to the flexible inflation targeting. The range might vary. So from 2016 onwards, there's an inflation targeting in India, and we have a monetary policy committee, MPC we call it. Our governor, deputy governor of the monetary policy department, and one executive director nominated by the board are 3 members from the Reserve Bank, and 3 members, experts are nominated by the government. So there are 6 members MPC, and bi-monthly meeting happens. And they decide about the rate on the basis of vote. They vote. And whatever is the majority decision becomes the final decision. There has been no change in the policy rate for the last almost more than 12 months now. There is status quo. Once this policy is announced, then we have a liquidity management or monetary policy operating framework where we inject liquidity or we absorb liquidity from the system so that transmission of the rate which has been announced by the MPC happens seamlessly. So that is basically the operating procedure. You must have heard about the repo, reverse repo, and we are doing most of the operations liquidity management to variable rate. And you will see that starting point of the monetary policy transmission is the weighted average core rate or interbank rate overnight, and that rate remains aligned to the policy rate, which is 6.25 now. So this is the brief overview about the monetary policy, and as I mentioned that India has continued to have a robust growth, which is kind of conundrum. It is not only in India, but in USA and other economies as well. Generally, what happens when you bring down the inflation, there is a sacrifice of growth. Growth comes down. There's a trade-off. But this is the first time the growth remains robust, but inflation is coming down. And largely that is attributed because the spike in inflation was driven by the commodity prices, which have cooled down. And that helped basically. Why the tightening was done so much? If somebody can ask that question, that if it was supply side driven, post inflation, why the interest rate was increased so much? Because interest rates stem the second round impact of that. There's always second round. Once the commodity prices goes up, inflation goes up. Second round, wages to other cost increases. So interest rate tightening by 250 basis point helped in containing the second round impact and overall cooling of inflation. As per our projection, monetary policy committee's projection, the inflation for 24-25 is projected at 4.4%. Growth, as I mentioned, at 7.0%. So Indian economy is in a very, very good shape, and hopefully we are going to maintain this kind of growth trajectory over the next several years, which will benefit all of us. Thank you very much. This is what briefly I wanted to touch upon. I'll be happy to take any questions or what we policy or growth, whatever, if there is any.
Questions, students? Yes, yes, Rohit.
The whole India is now using UPI, but the API provided for the UPI is from company named CIBMIT. So my question is, the whole country India is now using UPI, but the API used for the UPI is provided by a foreign country from US named Infinite. Why Indian government not taking any action to make the server from India?
See, you cannot basically produce everything in-house or in India. We have to depend on different companies from different jurisdictions. But we have a very robust agreement. National Payment Corporation of India is administering the UPI. It is basically their product under the ambit of overall guidance and supervision of the Reserve Bank. So we rest assured everything is taken care of as per the due diligence of anything untoward will not happen. So, but you, as I mentioned in the beginning, that you cannot produce or depend on everything in-house that you do. Okay. Likewise, our Indian companies are providing to so many central banks outside services.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Bennett. My question is that India leads in the digital payment globally, and government is also promoting a digital mode of payment and digital banking and all. But there is concern of data breach and privacy with us. I recently came across the news that a recent technical glitch in ICICI exposed the data of around 17,000 people. When people are opening their iMobile app, they can see others' data such as their personal information, credit card details, GDP and all. So how the government and RBI is dealing with all such things, because that these are the threats. Cybersecurity is still not that much stronger, and we are at risk of our own personal data. What are the government doing in this?
Thank you. Actually, see, the more we are using technology, we are exposed to this kind of risk. So if one is in your business, so you are subjected to risk. Basically, it is like in the finance, we say that there is a risk and return trade-off. Higher the return, higher the risk. But rest assured, our systems are very robust. We do conduct a regular inspection of their as a regulator of their IT systems. If we find any glitch anywhere, we immediately take appropriate action. And there might be little breach of data here and there, but main data is never basically breached. Not to say your DTH and all that. You must have basically read recently the Reserve Bank has stopped water bank from onboarding. Before that, it was SDFC Bank. Before that, it was Bank of Baroda. So wherever we find any kind of laxity on the part of the banks, the systems are not updated, we immediately take corrective action. And we have a very strong IT inspection team, which do periodic inspection reviews of all the banks basically. So please rest assured, we are on the job, and Reserve Bank will not allow anything which will compromise. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you mentioned about robust growth and influencer too. So my question is how the RBI monetary policies balances both traits, that is growth targets and inflation control.
Very good question. That's what I was talking the conundrum. So generally what happens, the conventional wisdom is, let me just put it this way. RBI manages basically through interest rate. When we increase the interest rate, aggregate demand comes down, and aggregate demand and supply becomes in equilibrium when there is overheating in the economy. When demand is low than supply in the economy, the Reserve Bank reduces the interest rates and boosts the demand. Demand and supply becomes again an equilibrium is reinstated in the economy. So when inflation is an outcome of demand, because of when economy is growing above potential, there is a positive output gap. Positive output gap means economy is growing more than potential growth. That is termed as a positive output gap. So when then monetary policy increases the rate to reduce that positive output gap, which means the growth will come down, inflation will also come down. But if there is a negative output gap, economy is growing below potential, which is the current situation, means there is a negative output gap. Okay. But inflation is not an outcome of demand pressures, because economy is experiencing negative output gap, not a positive output gap. Inflation this time, not only in India, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, was an outcome of supply side shocks, not the demand side shocks. So that's why the inflation came down when the commodity prices pulled down. And monetary policy only helped in stemming the second round impact, or the inflation becoming more generalized from food prices to the other manufacturing and services prices. So growth, since economy was already in a very robust expansion So growing below potential growth. So growth remains solid, but inflation came down because commodity prices primarily cooled down. And then the monetary policy helped in containing it becoming generalized. So this is very sweet sport kind of situation where you are able to manage inflation without compromising on growth. And that is not only in case of India. The economists are really scratching their head what is happening in US and other emerging markets. Despite such a large tightening of the monetary policy, 525 basis point increase in policy rate by Fed alone, economic activity is not slowing down. Economic activity remains, labor markets are still very strong. So now only they started. Thank you.
Hello, sir. My name is Ria. I'm a final semester student here. So, like the world is going through a paradigm shift because of the chatbots, bots, and AIs. So, in Indian banking sector, we can see a lot of technical advancements as well. So, for young bankers, what are your suggestions?
She's got placement in Federal Bank.
Oh, that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
See, these are the challenges of the evolving technology. So now today it is AI, machine learning, chatbots. But my sense is we should basically use them to improve the productivity and strengthen our systems rather than replacing the human contribution to the banking sector. Certainly, there is a threat, and that threat has been highlighted none other than the International Monetary Fund. The AI is going to impact the job market in a big way in emerging market economies, and the scale is like when the computers came, basically. So we are basically witness to that when we started working in the bank and the banking sector. When computers came, that there won't be any need for you people because one computer will be able to do the work for 10. But see what is happening. So nothing sort of that happened. So new technology always brings new jobs. So you will require people to manage even the new technology. So new technology, in my sense, that is what I say always, that don't worry about that. So it will enhance overall productivity in the economy. This will add job somewhere else, new jobs, which we are not able to really witness or envisage now what kind of jobs will be there, which we could not witness 25 years back. But new jobs, new opportunity will emerge with advent of new technology, and just you grab it, you use the new technology. Don't just the fear of that new technology will basically impact your job prospects or somebody. So you should not have that kind of fear. And I wish you all the best. You are going to join the banking sector.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for answering the question.
We have many more students, I suppose, who are going to join
Oh,
the banks also.
But I would also, but you people should also write Reserve Bank of India exam. Reserve Bank, the recruitment process happens at two levels. One is at grade B level, where we recruit the officers. There's an exam, there's main and prelims and mains. You can write that in there. Second is assistant level. At a regional office level, we recruit basically assistant, class 3. But the good thing is, even if you get selected as an assistant, in 3 years, you are eligible to write the grade A exam. So you become a grade A officer and you get into the officer track. And what we are seeing in Reserve Bank, a lot of BTEC, even this BA economics, all these students are joining as an assistant. If they are not able to really crack the grade B, they join in assistant, and quickly they really graduate to the next level within 3 years and become part of the officer category, basically. And that is the recruitment part. We also have that internship, basically.
Students had applied, but I don't know, they didn't get.
It's a very competitive process because all over the country people apply, and it is basically done on a merit basis. So, but you can try your luck. It's a very good place for the internship. If you have a 6 months or 3 months internship in this bank.
I've been asking our students to apply an RBI internship from the past, I think 3-4 years. But
They should apply.
they have applied, but it has not materialized. No proper reply has come from RBI
Oh, okay.
for the process.
Maybe you can get in touch with the regional office also. Sometimes you just have some ties in with Patna office. Even locally, you can do some interns. Well, at least few students can do in Patna office rather than going to Mumbai. And that local office can be arranged without going through that process. But you just need to establish that communication with regional office.
Okay, so we can get in touch with the regional office and the present batch if they are giving opportunities so they can join on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question?
People are tired now by this time.
Sir, I would like to ask a question.
Yeah,
different type of question.
Yeah.
We have seen in recent years there has been banking scams and frauds which have happened. Like Neerav Modi incidents is there, or Vijay Mallya's incident is there. So after all such kinds of scams or frauds which have happened, so has the banking system installed some kind of monitoring check in for so that future frauds doesn't happen?
See, it's very difficult to make it 100% foolproof system because it's in our nature basically. People try to find innovative ways to even cyber crimes. One of my known in Siliguri, she lost 5 lakh in half an hour. Somebody just enticed her for trading, giving 50%, 100% return. Initially, she paid some 30,000. She was given back 60,000, and the poor lady ended up losing 5 lakh rupees.
Yes.
So, and kind of frauds. We receive emails, messages, your electricity bill is due to be cut. We click the link and everything. I mean, even in people in Reserve Bank, I mean, we keep talking about that phishing and all that. Don't click any links, get really cheated at times. That is in our nature. Only thing is we have to keep improving. And after those incidents you have mentioned about Reserve Bank has really overhauled the supervisory and regulatory mechanism. And now we are much more advanced in terms of supervision. Wherever we find a red flag immediately. You must have seen this incident when the largest banks have been impacted, SDFC banks. We took regulatory action against them. So Paytm you have seen recently. I mean, Paytm is a household name, but Reserve Bank knew that. But if you violate, you don't comply with our guidelines, there's a regulatory violations ongoing basis, then nobody's spared and we have to take the action. So I would say that systems have become much more robust. Our regulatory and supervisory practices have been strengthened further, and hopefully there should not be any such problem going forward. Thank you. Anything? Thank you.
So I would like to thank Sir for his insightful discussion and for sharing his experience related to banking and economics. And I guess this is the time we'll wrap up this session. We'll meet at 3 o'clock, I guess. It's 3 o'clock for the valedictory session. Thank you.